Hello, my name is Cassie Greer, and I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about my leadership journey, where I started, and how I feel the organizational leadership program has helped me to become the leader that I feel more prepared to be. So basically, I am 24 years old. I have an associate's degree in just applied sciences, and I am a certified occupational therapist assistant. So I actually work in several different settings. I work with pediatrics, and I love my job, and I love that I get to treat the children and be hands-on, like one-on-one with the patient. I love that. I also work with adults in an inpatient rehab in the hospital in the town I live in, which is Paris Regional Medical Center, is the hospital I work at. And even though it's not that I enjoy treating the adults anymore than I enjoyed treating the children at the other setting, I think I've just realized how much I truly enjoy the hospital, and it's because of I feel the room to grow. I love the one-on-one patient interaction, and I love my job, but deep down I know that I just feel a calling to be in leadership, in administration, and just higher up than I am currently. So when I first graduated high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know where I wanted to go to school or what I really wanted to do, but I worked at a bank as a teller, and I had a really good relationship with the president of the bank, and I got really involved in the marketing aspects and the business aspects of the bank, and I truly just fell in love with that environment. Not necessarily because of the customer service or the banking, like the money part of it, but I got so involved and so attached because of the leadership aspects of it. I thrived there. So when I first graduated in the medical field as a certified occupational therapist assistant, I questioned, did I go into the right field? Because I love it and I do thrive in so many ways, but I think it was just I'm lacking those qualities of just leadership and just in that administration aspect of it. So I personally know that leadership is where I want to be, and I want to continue to grow. And so I also love the medical field. So a hospital setting for me is ideal. I want to be able to, move up and things. So I always knew that I wanted to be in leadership, and I had goals to be in leadership in some way. But however, at the beginning of this program, I think I had a huge misunderstanding of what leadership was. I was ready to take on the world, and I knew that I would need to learn some things along the way, and I would need some training. But in general, I just felt ready, and I felt like the learning that I was going to do wasn't going to be horribly hard to manage. However, and unfortunately, I will say I have been offered a few different director positions, program director positions at my age and being out of school for a year or less. Rehab, SNF, I've been offered these program director positions, and it scares me to think that I could have taken those positions before I was in a program like this that truly just taught me how to thrive and taught me how to dissect certain aspects that I wouldn't have known about before. So it's scary to me to think that there are those who just take a huge leap of faith and take these leadership positions in administration or director positions, and they have no background and no real knowledge of what leadership is, and the do's, the don'ts, and truly just how to dissect a problem, how to take this problem and learn learn about it and decide how to use your team and how to stand on your own, and where I guess until you take a class like this, what I'm saying is that you don't realize how far behind you are on the knowledge of leadership in general, and the ability to manage and organize humans, people, an organization. So I'm overall, I just want to say I'm very thankful and grateful that I decided to take this program. I'm going to dissect it down into each class and talk about what I learned from each class and how it helped me a little bit along the way. So at first it was issues and organizational leadership. So in this class, we did a personal leadership plan. The personal leadership plan to me was huge because it really made you sit down and analyze where you are now and where you want to be and what kind of leader you want to be. And then also, this class taught us that there are several types of leaders. What type of leader do you want to be? Do you want to be the kind that comes in and people know that, oh, well, they are a leader who is going to do what they want and our opinions don't really matter? Or do you want to be the kind of leader who sits back and lets them take their lead and just lets the employees do whatever they want? Do you want to be somewhere in between? And so in a blind aspect of it before this program, I guess I was just thinking that, oh, it would be all fine and dandy. Well, in reality, as a leader, this class taught me that in reality, you're dealing with constant issues. It's not just, we had a really good month and then we had this really bad day where I had some issues with some employees. No, it's a constant battle of dealing with issue after issue with employee after employee, and it's about not just being friends with all the employees and not picking favorites and not letting them run over you. But those are all things, I guess, that were kind of in the back of my mind, but that this class just brought to my attention. How are you going to deal with this problem? Or basically this particular class actually just really put into mind what kind of leader do you want to be. It also goes over, of course, just an overview of the definition of leadership, the theories of leadership, the characteristics that leaders need. Professionally, when I see a leader who I can trust and I see cares and I see just puts in the time in general, those are the leaders that I feel I want to be, because it just brings about a good vibe throughout the entire organization, and we trust it, and we trust that even though there are issues going on now, we know that our leader cares, and so we know it's being taken care of. And the stress and the huge weight that takes off of an employee's back, it's a huge deal that some leaders just don't understand. Then we moved into data-driven decision making. So this one there was two parts to this class. One, data-driven decision making 1 and then 2. And this class was certainly the most difficult one for me. Taking data and being able to put it into formulas and being able to present it on a PowerPoint, a video, Excel, being able to write up a summary. This class was by far the most difficult class for me, but it taught me so much. I had to redo these projects several times, but I can't explain how much it taught me. In reality, when you're dealing with a huge organization that you know that you have to make a change in, you cannot even begin to make a change in it until you know what you need to change. And that can't be as simple and as generic as, well, we need to change the sales of this. Okay, well, what about that? And this class taught me how to analyze so many small details that I didn't think was possible, but it taught me how. It taught me how to use PowerPoint in a way that I didn't know was possible. It taught me how to use Excel, especially, in a way that I did not realize was possible. It taught me formulas to use on Excel, and it also just taught me, even if those formulas aren't the particular ones that I need in Excel, it gave me the experience of looking on YouTube, or knowing that you can research this, and knowing that you can put all of this in an Excel worksheet, because unfortunately my brain doesn't work well enough that I can just write all this stuff down and jot it all down and have it ready to present to a team. But being able to research and look up data and actually have it there, because that's the most important. If you have a big meeting with your supervisors or your CFO who you need money from, they're going to say, show me data. You can tell me all day long that you need this because this will work better, and because people will feel better, and because patient care will be better. But if you don't have the data to back it up, they are not going to buy into it, and you're never going to get where you need to be. So these 2 classes just taught me how to overanalyze the details of data that I just didn't realize were even there. That class, I could go on all day about that class. It was an amazing class. I appreciate it. I had a lot of hard nights with that class because learning how to do all that was difficult, and I just graduated from my program, and we just never had to put formulas into that much detail. But that's how the real world in big corporations work. So that was a very important class for me personally. The next class was behavior, ethics, and leadership. This is such an important class that I feel like every leader needs to take. The other classes, they are important, and they are a big issue and are more important to some corporations than others, but this one I feel like everyone needs to understand. In behavior, ethics, and leadership, we did a critical issue analysis, and we basically just learned how to deal with different cultures. So one particular thing that runs in my mind is how a big corporation was taken from this one man whose culture was the same as all the employees, and it wasn't running well. Their culture, their beliefs, their values, the reason that this company essentially was failing was due to the way they were running things, and the way they were running things was because of the way their culture had taught them to. And so an outsider has to come in and show them these new ways and basically take over. Like, how do you do that lightly? How do you tread lightly? How do you step easily into that? You just can't. But you have to argue the fact of, we can either just let this slide and the company can completely go downhill, and then you will all be without jobs and be without food for your families and without homes for your families, and essentially could destroy the community. Or you can step in and you can lightly go into a meeting or an overall just new outlook. Say, hey, this is how this has got to be now. We've got to make some changes to make this company work. If you want a job, put food on the table, you need money for your families, we've got to change this company. So basically this person, Carlos Ghosn, he basically walked into this company, took his team, the team, split up into all these different departments of the company, and basically turned it around, which I'm sure that the people had a horribly hard time dealing with, because change is difficult in any way, form, or fashion, but especially when it's dealing with your culture. It also taught us how leaders can go in and make these changes appropriately, and things to look at, things to evaluate about different employees. Basically, it just was it was very important, and it was important because you have to understand that people's feelings are very important, and you don't want to lose employees, and you don't want to ever make employees feel uncomfortable, or that you're not being honest with them, or that you're there to change things just to make more money, or change things to look better for yourself. You have to be able to explain it in a way that this change is going to benefit you in the end. Trust me. And that sounds very generalized and easy, but it's not. So this class goes into the different techniques and ways that you can can go in and you can know the correct approaches with your company. So that was a very important class as well. Another important class that I really thought was important was leadership theory. Leadership theory was the SWOT analysis. Wow. I feel like this is probably going to be one of the most used approaches or strategies that I will use, period. Basically, in this class, we learned how to go through and dissect a company to pieces. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are threats? What are really good things? What are really good opportunities for the company that they're just not using right now? And basically just how to say, okay, well, now we have their strengths and their weaknesses. What are their recommendations? And not only what are their recommendations, but what are the small, long-term, short-term goals that we're going to put ourselves in, and make sure that we have all these times. And it basically, the SWOT analysis had dates, times, like we will have meetings every Tuesday at this time. And it basically just gave you a calendar and a planner to stay to date so that you could make these minor changes to make an overall better outcome for your company. And though that sounds very simple in words, this was crazy good. Like the SWOT analysis, I really enjoyed it, and it was difficult, but I enjoyed it. And then the process improvement plan, it came a little bit harder for me because it's easy to dissect a company and to just basically tear it apart in a way and say, well, this is what's wrong. This, and this. And we can all day long, we can all ask, like, what could we improve on? Well, because we as humans were never happy. And so we all have things we could improve on. And it's very easy to do that. But then what? Then the CEO, the COO, the leaders have to find a way to make it work. So the process improvement plan just basically breaks that down. Like, okay, graphs, tables, planners, schedules, calendars, whatever you need to be able to take these problems, and let's set some goals and let's set up what is our actual plan for each of these goals. So it really breaks it down and it makes it to where you're actually fixing the problems one by one. That was a really good one for me. And then leading change was the change management plan, how to approach change. It's like we were talking earlier, this is the Carlos Ghosn, it always comes into my mind, like how do you process change, and how do you come into this company, which is what I did all of my capstone research and essays over, the hospital that I work at. I did like, how could you change it? We have this new CEO and COO. They are amazing. I have really good feelings about them. Everyone is so excited that they're here because they're making so many changes, doing so many great things. But basically to make all these great big changes with people who've been in the company for 20 years, can be difficult. And although some people are ready for change and will do whatever it takes to make the change, there are some that will not. And so the way to approach people with change, in this class, we learned how to do that, and it was some interesting things for sure. The last two were the capstones, and so capstone 1, I learned more about the hospital that I've been working at for a year and a half in about 2 weeks than I had the whole year and a half I've been there. I just researched and found out so many things about the hospital, how it ran, how it gets paid, money lost, money used, ways that it could improve, ways that it needs to improve, and ways that it would be so difficult to change it. We, as the smaller people, the patients that come to the hospital, the employees that work at the hospital, we see it as such an easy thing. Well, why can't they just fix this? The process that you have to go through to fix these major or even minor problems that we're having, fix the air conditioner, or, redo the hospital, make this floor bigger, order more scrubs, give us overtime once a week. There's so many processes that leaders and directors, CFOs, CEOs, COOs have to go through to make these small plans. I learned that in my interviews. The interviews in the Capstone one were such a game changer for me. The two people that I interviewed were absolutely amazing, and I actually interviewed the COO of the hospital, and he taught me so much in like 15 minutes. He was in such a hurry, but he gave me so much good information, and it was just a really good way to see like how leadership works and how it works in something in an organization so close to home for me. Who am I now as a leader? I feel now that if I were to take a leadership position, I would feel much more prepared. I would know that just jumping in and trying to do all things at one time is not ever going to work. Patience, flexibility, honesty with your employees, and trust in your company, and loyalty. All those things I feel like I've learned in this program, and I feel like the leader I am now, I feel like I could be a pretty good leader now. I feel like I have, even though I'm not like a totally different person than I was before I took this course, I have so many more tools and so many more facts now that I see, and they just change the way I work in general now. And I'm not even a leader, but these tools and these things I've learned have just changed me so much. And so I know that now, if I were to be a leader, I feel like I would know so much more about how to approach things and how to attempt to make changes and things to work on and things to know, sometimes you just got to let things go, and then what's important. As a leader, where do I go from here? I'm going to be getting my master's degree, hopefully in the next year or so, in occupational therapy. So I will be an occupational therapist. I hope to be in the hospital. I would love to be the clinical coordinator of the rehab there. And I would also love to move up into administration. I've always wanted to be the rehab director. I would love to do it. I feel like I need lots and lots more experience in rehab, but just this project has made me learn so much. I've asked the current rehab director, so many questions about insurance and just so many aspects I didn't understand before. So I hope to someday be the rehab director and then maybe even go further in administration. I really hope that I can look back on this video 10 or 15 years from now and be there. But so yeah, basically this program has done such amazing things for me. I plan to keep all my notes and this video and all my projects to look back on, because it has been truly extraordinary for me. So thank you so much for listening to my leadership journey, and I hope to help someone out there who's potentially wanting to be a leader. Thank you.